Hello, everybody. It's Bonnie here. Intuitive Eating Wednesdays. Just going to get my Instagram started so that we can do this training across all channels. Hi there, Instagram. It's Bonnie Giller here. Hello, everybody. When you come in, please come and say hello so I know who's here. We have a great topic to talk about today. But before we do that, I definitely want to be interacting with you today. So, let me see who's here. I see a couple of eyeballs over on Facebook and YouTube. Let me just fix the camera. Hold on. Okay, so if you're here with me live, can you say hello? Instagram, say hello, peeps, and Facebook, YouTube. Come say hi to me. Let me know who's here. Where are you calling in? Where are you showing up from? So today, Intuitive Eating Wednesdays is a day that I talk about any topics, on all topics related to intuitive eating, body image, healing your relationship with food and your body. And that's the topic of today. Today, we're talking about weight stigma. So for those of you who don't know me, for those of you who I am new, my name again is Bonnie Giller and I help chronic dieters develop trust with themselves and food so they can break free of dieting and live their life to the fullest. Doesn't that sound amazing? Hey, Louise, thank you for being here. How are you this morning or this afternoon, actually, 12:15 Eastern? So come say hello if you're here. Definitely want to talk with you today. This is a very important topic. I almost didn't make it on time today because I had a call that went a little bit over. So I was stressing out just a little bit, but some deep breathing pretty much helped me. So, all right, I'm going to pull up some of my bullet points that I want to talk to you about today with this really important topic. Again, as I talk, I would appreciate if you shared some thoughts in the comment section. I always like to pose questions to you so that you think and that you share because somebody else watching is going to be like, oh, I experienced that too. Oh, I'm not alone. And that really feels really important not to feel alone when we're dealing with, especially this topic today of weight stigma. So if you're on replay, hashtag replay and post your comments and I'll come back and respond. So let's talk about what weight stigma is. Let's just understand that here in America, weight-based discrimination is one of the most common forms of discrimination, especially among women. So a quick statistic for you, it's been found that about 40% of the general population has reported experiencing some form of weight stigma or weight bias in their lifetime. So, what is weight stigma? Well, it can be defined as the negative attitudes, stereotypes, or discrimination based on larger body size. So, unfortunately, in our society, many people who live in larger bodies are perceived as lazy, unattractive, having a lack of quote unquote willpower, uneducated, and so much more. So, my first question to you is, have you experienced weight stigma in your lifetime? And if so, how? So, please come and share. Again, I want everybody to know they're not alone. So, absolutely come, please, and let us know. Have you experienced weight stigma? If you have, in what way have you experienced this? So, weight stigma can appear. Now, you go ahead and type your comments, but I'll keep talking and then I'll come back and look at your comments. Weight stigma can appear in our world and in our lives on a wide spectrum. We can look at it's not, there's no such thing as minor weight stigma, but if you want to look at what might be called a minor form of weight stigma, I would call it maybe better a microaggression, right? There are certain microaggressions that you might have experienced. That could be certain instances, such as a person who is living in a larger body is spoken to in a disrespectful manner by anybody, a store employee or your own employee at work, and so forth. And major forms of weight stigma can include being denied employment because of your body size or your appearance, or being bullied by coworkers or other peers due to your size. So I want to talk about where weight stigma appears in our world. We are going to talk about what to do and how to fight back, but I would like to know, I'm going to kind of tee off some ideas that I have about where weight stigma presents itself, but I would love it if you would put your comments in as well, because it's your lived experience. If you've experienced weight stigma, share it with us. So, other ways in which weight stigma can appear in our world include being, like I said, being bullied at work, coworkers, maybe your peers, or even in the school setting, even younger kids. Unfortunately, we're seeing this more and more. People expressing doubt about your abilities, about your knowledge, or about your skills due to your size. So they make certain assumptions about your abilities, your knowledge, and your skills based on your body size. Not being able to find clothing in your size in dress stores and clothing stores. Feeling judged in public spaces, like, you're out and about and people are staring at you and people are mumbling under their breath as they're looking at you. Being verbally or physically harmed. Maybe another form of weight stigma that you've experienced is a loved one or a friend expressing discouragement around your body, causing you to feel shame. And of course, feeling the societal pressure or peer pressure to, of course, lose weight. Louise, thank you for sharing. Louise says, from childhood, not picked for teams, laughed at because I was taller and larger than the rest of the class. Right. So that's a great example that a lot of times this goes back to childhood when you're younger. If you were not picked for a sports team, if you were left out of recess, these are all forms of weight stigma because maybe you weren't picked because of your size. Okay, thank you, Louise, for sharing that. Louise, we should dig into that a little bit in the Intuitive Eating Basics course in the module about redefining your worth. Okay, so we talked in the Intuitive Eating Basics course, we're talking about limiting beliefs. We're identifying limiting beliefs and we're really reframing them into empowering true beliefs. And oftentimes these beliefs go back to our childhood and experiences that we have, that and including bullying and weight stigma. So the damages of weight stigma run far beyond that momentary shame or disappointment that you might have in yourself and one's body. So there are a number of ways how weight stigma can cause serious mental, emotional, and even physical damage. So let's start with number one. The weight stigma damage includes increased risk of disease and illness. Weight stigma has been identified as an independent risk factor for poor health outcomes. See, many doctors believe that excess weight causes poor health outcomes, but it's very important to understand that correlation is not the same as causation. So perhaps those in larger bodies, let me say it this way, perhaps being in a larger body is correlated with certain chronic health conditions. It doesn't mean that it is caused by the larger body. And doctors don't necessarily see that. There's no current evidence establishing weight or being in a larger body as a cause for those poor health outcomes like diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. So it's just unfortunate that there's such an increase of risk of disease and illness because you don't have good experiences going to doctors, and so therefore you don't go to doctors and take care of what you need to for your health in that regard. Second is poor health care experiences, which actually I just started talking about. Weight stigma has been reported to occur most frequently in the doctor's office, right? Within the healthcare space, it is common for physicians to portray the message that those in larger bodies are lazy, they're weak-willed, they're unintelligent, undeserving, a waste of time. And you of course pick these thoughts and these attitudes up. And then, if you're not in a larger body, you may have these thoughts about others that are in a larger body. And so you have to be careful of how you portray your feelings towards other people and what they're picking up. So the quality of care decreases as the stigma in the room increases. So, for example, doctors are more likely to misdiagnose those in larger bodies and often relate their symptoms to weight, even when they are unrelated. Now, last week we did talk about on our training body shaming in a doctor's office. So if you missed that training, just go back and watch. You can head to my YouTube channel, bonnie.tube, and you'll see that video the replay is there. I would recommend highly you head to my YouTube channel to watch that video from last week. Doctors are also less likely to perform various physical exams on those people who are in larger bodies, and they spend less time in the room with those in larger bodies, and they engage in less healthcare education. So, for example, diabetes education, cardiovascular education for those people in larger bodies. Why? Because they're basically putting everything into your weight, and their prescription for you is go lose weight. Another effect or impact of weight stigma is an increased levels of stress in your body. Weight stigma is correlated with the stress response and the release of a variety of hormones that have effects on your body. So, for example, you have an increased level of cortisol. Cortisol is your main stress hormone. You're probably very familiar with it. High levels of C-reactive protein, which is an indicator of inflammation in the body. You have a release of pro-inflammatory cytokines, an increase in blood pressure, an increased rate of oxidative stress. This is all in relation to the stress response, which again, weight stigma is correlated with that stress response. And with the stress response being so extreme, these various level of hormones can contribute to increased metabolic risk and poor health outcomes. So do you see how that is connected? So if we can just bust through and just have an impact and fight back against weight stigma, then we'll see improved health outcomes independent of what happens to somebody's weight. Anybody have anything they want to share? Put a comment down about your stress associated with weight stigma. How has the weight stigma you've experienced throughout your life impacted your health from a stress standpoint, from an experience with healthcare professionals, and so forth? Let us know. Again, I want everybody to know they're not alone. Okay, so then there's the other side effect or impact of weight stigma, and that it's the negative effects or impacts that it has on your mental health. So studies have shown that that with weight stigma, there's demonstrated increased rates of anxiety, depression, and other mood disorders in those people that are in larger bodies that experience weight stigma compared to those who do not. So, deep breath. We understand the impact and the damage that weight stigma causes. So, what do we do? How do we fight back? Tell me, how have you fought back against weight stigma? So, if you've experienced weight stigma in your lifetime, what have you done to fight back? If you can share in the comments, that would be great while I take a quick drink. Okay. I mean, it's such an important topic. Such an important topic. Okay. So as you're typing, I'm going to go ahead and just give you some ideas on how to fight back against this weight stigma. The very first one, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm about to say this. Ditch the dieting and ditch the diet mentality. You see, we can't advocate for fighting back against weight stigma when we're also pushing and advocating for weight loss. It just doesn't go together. Diets are not the answer. Remember, diets don't work. You may say, Bonnie, they have worked short term, but ultimately they do not work long term. So dieting is not the answer. And the more you continue to diet, the more you're just perpetuating this idea that it's your responsibility and your duty to shrink your body and to shrink yourself. And so No, they don't work. Shifting out of the diet mentality is not necessarily easy, especially if you've been dieting for years and even decades, but it can be done with the right community and the right support. Okay. So that's number one. Really, really, really work on breaking free of diets and your diet mentality. Louise shares that she fired the pulmonary doctor who blamed all symptoms on weight and would not address issues. Excellent, Louise. Yes, you can absolutely fire your doctor. And by the way, when you're firing your doctor, tell him or her why you're firing them, because we need to educate these physicians. I do my very best to try to educate the doctors that refer patients to me. So definitely, definitely educate them. Okay, the second way you can fight back against weight stigma is to stop complimenting and praising weight loss. Stop complimenting people's bodies. Now, on Instagram, I actually on also a Facebook page, I recently put some posts as in regards to it's not a compliment to tell somebody, "Oh, wow, you look so skinny. Oh, wow, you lost weight." It just reinforces diet culture's toxic belief that thinner bodies are better bodies. There are so many other amazing things that people can get complimented for and not anything about their body. So many other things. And I challenge you. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Let the machine get that. I challenge you to give thought to when you see somebody, what can you compliment them on that has nothing to do with their body? And the other thing here is you just don't know what is behind somebody's weight loss story. More often than not, it's possible they lost this weight because they have disordered relationship with food in their body. They have a disordered relationship with exercise, body dissatisfaction, low self-esteem, maybe even, God forbid, a disease, a medical condition. Sherry. Hey, Sherry, how are you? Sherry says, yes, I don't do that anymore. You don't know what someone is going through. Stress, they may be sick. Exactly, exactly. So I have a thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so happy to see you here. I have a story to share with you about that, which really boiled my blood last weekend. I saw somebody, a friend of mine, who was very sick for a few months. She had had a heart attack. She had heart surgery. She had a lot of unfortunate complications following her surgery. And she's been not really out in the community for quite a while, several months, although I've seen her because we're close. So she was out this past weekend amongst other people. And I went over, I said, I'm so glad to see you here. How are you feeling? Blah, blah, blah. And then somebody came over to her and said, oh, wow, hi, it's so good to see you. You look so good. You lost so much weight. I wanted to just blow up in that moment. First of all, this person knew that this woman had been sick and not well. So that's what you're complimenting her on, weight loss, when especially that you knew she was sick. What is happening in this world? Where are priorities? I had to walk away because I otherwise I would have really said something probably that I may not have actually regretted. But so stop praising what weight loss and commenting on people's bodies. I'm sure if you stop and think about it, you probably have a story that you can share as well. The third thing that you can do is just challenge what you hear, challenge the messages, right? There's this whole wellness movement out there that, truth be told, is just another diet in disguise, right? Like, oh, it's a healthy lifestyle type of plan, quote unquote, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, I am a registered dietitian. I believe in nutrition and I believe in optimal health. If you choose that you want good health, and there's nothing wrong with pursuing health. The thing is that when we talk about health, health is way more than what we eat and how many hours we spend at the gym, right? But yet there's this whole like stereotypical image of health that is out there, which of course you never see somebody in a larger body that they're portraying as someone who has health. So please fight back and be very astute to these messages from the wellness industry that are portraying um, images and people who are pursuing health. Also, how do you fight back? Really develop your critical thinking skills. Listen, diet culture tells you lies one after the other. So educate yourself. Educate yourself on diet culture. Educate yourself on how diet culture hijacks terminology and concepts such as intuitive eating. Read books, listen to podcasts, show up on my live trainings, um, bring it up in conversations with family and friends, right? Listen to people who've experienced discrimination and learn and learn. And then finally, you can fight back by speaking up, really calling out people who engage in body shaming and diet talk. You know, if you go to a restaurant and or you go to a doctor's office and in the waiting room they only have these tiny small chairs, right? You speak up and tell them you need to have chairs for larger bodied people. My practice right now due to the pandemic is all virtual, but I do have an office setting, and prior to the pandemic I had patients coming into my office, and when I was furnishing my office I made sure that I had chairs in my waiting room and in my consultation room that were accessible for larger body people. So speak up. If you have a favorite clothing store that you like to shop in and they don't carry larger sizes, plus sizes, speak up and ask them to do that, right? Encourage your friends who are living in larger bodies to be proud of who they are. The truth is, we have to end this humiliation. We have to end the discrimination of people in larger bodies. And we can do it when we're together and we fight together. So, what are, again, your experiences? How have you fought back against weight discrimination, against weight stigma? I would like to know if you want to share. Louise has shared, Sherry has shared. Thank you so much. If anybody else is here live and you want to share, now's the time to share in the comments. And if you're on replay, all you have to do is hit hashtag replay and post your thoughts and comments, and I'll be sure to come back. Again, we learn by sharing with each other, and it's inspiring, and also just to know that you're not alone. I think that's super important. Okay. All right. So that's our topic. Now we are heading into the holiday season, and I know for so many people, the holidays can prove to be quite challenging. So keep your eyes peeled on your inbox and on social media, on my Instagram and Facebook, because I will be hosting a live workshop coming up all about intuitive eating holiday strategies. And I know that you will not want to miss that. And I know some people say, oh, I don't have time. I have so many commitments now with the holidays. And I get it. I do get it. But you're going to want to make time for this. So the date is going to be Monday, November 15th. I will give you more information when I have the registration page ready for you, but I do hope that you will be able to share, to show up with me and just spend 60 minutes, and I will arm you with the strategies so you can have a wonderful holiday season eating your favorite foods, no guilt, no shame. And by the way, it's all holidays. The strategies that I teach you now are good for whatever holidays you celebrate. Okay, so even if you don't celebrate the upcoming Thanksgiving, Christmas holiday, and you celebrate other religious holidays that aren't necessarily this time of year, these strategies are going to help you with that as well. So I highly recommend you join me live. I'll give you the information and registration page hopefully by tomorrow. But that is coming up. Anyway, I can support you through the end of the year. That's my pleasure. Let me know what you want me. Well, let me know your particular challenges as we go as we're coming through the holidays. Now you can just post it below, or you can DM me a challenge, and I'll include it within the workshop. All right. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of our Intuitive Eating Wednesday. I will see you next week, Wednesday, for another live training. And just again, watch my Instagram posts, stories, my Facebook posts for information regarding the upcoming holiday workshop. All right. Thanks for joining me live, everybody. I will see you next week. Have a great day.